Hey everybody, here is how I sold 360 units in 18 months as a licensed agent in the new home industry. Here we go. Is this real or isn't it real? It's real. 360, it might have been closer to 400 deals in about 18 months as a licensed agent working with new home builders. And well, here's the quick version. Long version's way too long. So here it goes. 2018, Calgary, Alberta, things are in the shitter. We're an bit of an oil-based economy. As you know, that oil dropped in price at the end of 2014, and then we kind of had a slow slide. Things really slowed down, but this was extended. It was, it went on for 4 or 5 years. So what happened was 2018, really the bottom of the barrel, and I was making calls. I was making calls to builders. Now I have a new home career. I worked with builders in the sales center for years and years, and decided to get licensed later on as an agent, and then do resale. And then a few years into it, I realized some of the top agents in the city and in Canada all work with builders. So if I really wanted to build my numbers up, probably being a hybrid would be the best idea. So that was the idea. I started making calls to builders. It was tough. And I'm going to tell you, it was, the market was really tough. Even picking up the phone and calling those builders was one of the toughest things I ever did. But one of those calls absolutely changed my life and changed my partner's life forever. And it was the call that led to everything. So I'm going to withhold names to protect the innocent. Let's go with that. And so I called the builder. We decided to meet. I was looking for listings, and so I just wanted to do listings. We decided to move forward. I was going to work with them and help them train their agents that were working in the sales center as the builder grew. So they were a little bit new to Calgary. They were Eastern-based, really, really big builder. They've been around for a long time. Great builder, really good reviews. And they had moved into Calgary a couple years before that, bought some land, and going forward, they had a couple of areas that were going to develop into master plan communities. But they also had some buildings downtown, condos, that they wanted to move. Now, at the time, I wasn't really interested in condos. I was more of a suburban guy. I wanted to move the stuff in the suburbs, but to get to that, I needed to move the condo stuff first. So condos were not moving. Downtown Calgary, again, we were in the middle of a recession. We were just making our way back. And they decided to release the building. So it's a mid-rise, 180-unit concrete building, okay? And they just marketed to the wrong demographic. So they put it out there. Within a few months, and I'm telling you, nothing was moving downtown. It was really, really quiet. And there was an abundance of inventory. So this story just really entails how you can make a business out of any kind of economy. And when times are tough, sometimes that's when, coming out of the ashes, some of the best things can happen. So we had this building, 180 units, 13-story. Over a period of about 5 months, we'd only sold 25 units. Now, in the new home business, when you're building mid-rise or any type of multifamily, I'm just going to give you general numbers. You have to have around 75% of it sold in order for that developer or builder to get construction financing to move forward with the building. 25 deals is not 75% of that building. We needed to have that in another 6 months, and the numbers were they just weren't happening. So they decided that they were going to cancel the building. Now, I'm in Calgary, Alberta. If you're watching this and you're in the US, this applies to really anywhere, but we're in Alberta, we're in the West. I just happened to go to Ontario in Toronto and the GTA, and I happened to go to a building launch. 500 realtors show up, and it's like the Academy Awards, and I'm going, what the hell is going on here? This was absolutely nuts. So free food, free drinks, everyone's dressed to the nines. My jaw drops, and someone leans over and goes, "This is how we sell condos in Toronto." At that minute, I literally said, this is how I'm going to sell condos in Calgary. And so I'm texting my business partner, and I said, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And he says, you're an idiot. This is how we talk to each other. It's not going to work. And I said, no, dude, we're not selling it to Calgary agents. We are selling it to Toronto agents. And he was like, oh, Toronto agents who have investors. So I came back. We came up with a plan. Again, this is the short version. And literally, it took 3 months or 2.5 months to lay this plan out, which was really quick. We had a ton of hurdles. Every possible thing that could go wrong went wrong. Starting with, I go back to the developer, I sit down with them in their marketing meeting, and I'm like, okay, here's what we're doing. It was like I was possessed. I just knew that like launching this to Toronto investors was going to work. And it just, I felt like every vibe, every bone in my body just knew this was going to happen. How it was going to happen, I wasn't sure yet. But we were developing a plan, and so I proposed it to the developer at their marketing meeting, and I was like, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you have to understand, I'm a hired gun. I wasn't somebody who was, an executive there or anything. And I'm like, okay, go. Because the plan was to launch this building about 2.5 months later. And anyways, it was crickets. There was nobody said anything, and I'm going, oh my God, like no one's done anything. So I hear somebody go, you're aggressive. And then somebody else says, that sounds really hard. Honest to God, I don't know what possessed me, but we had nothing to lose. I absolutely lost my mind. I lost my mind, and I was like, look, here's the deal. You guys are going to lose your jobs, because if we're canceling buildings and we're not selling product, you don't have a job. So I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that. So why don't we become the biggest thing that ever happened in the history of the city in real estate? And why don't we try this? And if it doesn't work, we haven't lost anything. And if you guys don't want to do it, get out of the way, because I'm doing it anyway. And the president laughed. He walked out of the room, and everybody just dispersed. It was like, oh my God, like here we go. And really, that was the point, that the sort of turning point where everything started to move forward. So from that point to the date that we launched, it was a couple months later. Everything went wrong. I'm not going to get into the gory details, but it was like blood, sweat, tears, toil for 2 months. The idea was, we're going to Toronto, we're going to launch this baby, and that's what we did. So without getting into details about all the problems that we had, we literally go there, and on the 19th of November in 2019, sales are just really starting to get going in Calgary, starting to gel. The prices were still they were still kind of bleeding a little bit. And what happened was, we did the launch, we did the presentation. I got up there and told everybody about the project. We had a big group of realtors who were ballers in the room, and guess what happened next? It absolutely exploded. This project went freaking viral. In the worst market I'd ever seen in my life, this project exploded. I had agents and people calling me, like my phone didn't stop ringing. It was absolutely on fire. My battery was constantly burning out. I'm not kidding you. Like, it was emails, calls, texts. Let me in on this project. We sold the entire project out. Now, caveat here. The builder only wanted to do 100, and we had 25 sold, so we only wanted to do another 100 and then hold everything off until the end. So and the way we did it, we took the orders right away, but we gave them 10 days, and then we said we'd allocate the units out. So we said, hey, we're going to do only 100 in here. We had almost 200 orders. What happened was, during the week, we got a bunch of worksheets in, and then by the very end, the last day, we were like, I'm texting the boss, hey, they're like, how many have we got? And I'm like, I think we're at about 60. And then about an hour later, I was like, oh, we're at 70. And then it was 75, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 50, 60, 70. Literally 180 worksheets came in. Now, some of them were on the same units. We ended up selling firm 123 out of that. We held back 32 units roughly. And then 2 months later, we decided to sell those, sold them in 2 weeks. Entire building gone when 3 months prior to that, we were we're canceling the building and didn't know what we were going to do with it. And canceling the building equaled no money for me, even on the sales that I'd already done, which at that point I was like, that's not an option. We have to do something here. We went from canceling the building to absolutely crushing it and making the most money that I'd ever made in 1 month ever. From that, now, it took 3 months, 2 months or 2.5 months, whatever it was, to put together all the hurdles, all the trial and error and all the problems and the blood, sweat, and tears and arguments and things that entailed from it. But at the end, I mean, we were absolutely on cloud nine. It never happened before in the history of the city. So, what do you think we would do from there? Obviously, rinse and repeat. Unfortunately, a couple months later, when we were gearing up to do another building the same way, same recipe, COVID hit. So I was gearing up to do like 300, 400 deals that year, and because I had this amazing recipe and the way it worked, and we had the best start to real estate in 6 or 7 years, and COVID hits and everything goes locked down. So for the first 2 weeks of April, I basically cried in my soup. But as things progressed, I realized that by May of 2020, my business partner went out, and this guy's nonstop, like he's a killer. He went out and he sold 16 houses, and I was like, wow, so things are still rocking. So we started to move another building. We sold another 30, 40 units. Then we put another building up. We sold another 87. Then I went after some more builders. And from that, it was building after building, and it just kept building and like just moving forward from there, and it kept gathering more steam and more agents were hearing about it. It absolutely went viral for weeks and months, and we were just bringing on project after project. So basically in the first 18 months, we did about 360, maybe 380 deals, but in the course of about 2.5 years, I believe we are at somewhere between 17 and 1,800 units. And the moral of the story here is when things are literally the worst that they can possibly be, out of the ashes and the destruction of a terrible recession, we absolutely exploded our business because we believed we could. And that is the story of how we did 360 deals in the course of about 18 months. Please like and subscribe, and leave your comments below, and we'll see you soon.